Hey, welcome everyone to group this week. I've got Pastor Jamie with us today.
What's up?
And it is week 4 of Timeout. And so our Timeout series has been talking about how to take a rest, pause, spend time with Jesus. And this week might be one of the more challenging ones.
Yes, this one is we're giving you guys a challenge for your lives this week. So we're talking about Sabbath. And Sabbath, you're probably like, oh my goodness, that is so outdated. That is what they did back in the olden days, back in the Bible. But actually, it's for us today, and we want to challenge you and your families to Sabbath, and we're gonna kind of talk about how you can Sabbath and give you guys room for conversation for that. So
yeah, let me talk about the why first. If you've ever, there's actually like this little principle on those who are tuning grand pianos, the strings. They actually have to, as they tighten them to tune them, they want to untighten them. So it says they have to let the strings rest. And if you don't let the strings rest over time, they'll wear out and break. And so the analogy of that is so similar to us, right? If we're just tight all the time and we don't rest, then we can break.
absolutely.
And so God created a system and a rhythm for us to rest and to take off that, to give ourselves a break. And the Sabbath is that. It's that rhythm, a weekly rhythm to say, hey, time out for the day, for the whole day. That's what's challenging.
Whole day. It's so hard, especially like in our culture and what's going on is going. So let's look at the Bible. The Bible lays out all the, like throughout it, like Sabbathing, resting is so important. But God actually modeled this when he created everything. When he created the world, God himself rested. So we're going to look at Exodus 20, and God actually gave us the command to rest, not because he was tired, but for us to have an example. So, I mean, God did it. If God did it, we can do it.
So from the creation of rest, and then in Exodus 20 was like the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
So he's saying, hey, do this. And so I want you guys, group leaders, to read those today, like read the Exodus 20 passage so you can look at that and just know this was part of the 10 Commandments. And when you're reading that, this is what I want you to know. This was a communal assignment. Communal meaning this is for the whole community. So a lot of times you're like, oh, I have to, but it was actually intended that everyone did this.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when everyone does this, it's easier. So if our family would choose to take a Sabbath, it's easier than just one person and no one else is. But God intended this to be honoring him as a community. So imagine the entire Israelites, they were honoring God while they were doing this together.
Yeah, I know Sabbathing can be super duper hard, especially with like life. Life gets super busy. I mean, I grew up as a pastor's kid, and my parents had 3 kids in every sport and every activity known to man. Then we had church on Sundays, constantly going. My dad at one point had 2 jobs with kids in sports. And I grew up seeing them not actually practicing Sabbathing. And so I know it's super duper hard to do in your lives, but it is doable, and it's trusting the Lord with our time. And a lot of people think that Sabbath maybe sometimes is lazy, unproductive, but actually when we do it the right way, according to what the Bible calls us to, it's the exact opposite. It's not doing that. So
yeah, that's good. It's good that one is biblical, so then we just have to figure it out. Because you just said it's hard. It's hard. Like, well, we're all saying this is hard.
Yeah.
But let me give you some ways so we can begin to implement this. And this is what you guys can talk about in your group. Is one, you really have to set a specific day. It may not be Sunday. It's not Sunday for me and Pastor Jamie because Sundays are very long days. And so that is really, they say pastors only work one day a week. So that's the only day we work. So no. But Sunday's not our Sabbath day. So we have to do that on another day off. We have to choose another day. You need to choose what's the best day and set that day. And when you set that day, then you turn off the distractions. So phones are off. I'm not going to check all my emails. I'm not going to let those notifications bother me. And you just turn those off because you have to turn off distractions or you get sucked right back into the busyness.
Yeah.
Say no to some extra commitments. So you're like, you know what? I'm sorry. Our family on this day, we are, and you don't have to say, I cannot do that. I'm Sabbathing. Like no one's going to understand that, right? But you can say, hey, that's a kind of a family day for us, and we're not able to be a part of that this time. And you can say it the way you want to, but we're trying to say no to some extra commitments, especially on the day that we're going to practice and observe the Sabbath. And then we realize that the entire day is dedicated to God. It's not just, oh, that's our day to do nothing, or that's our day to sleep. It's our day to rest, but with a focus and a dedication to, I do this dedicated to God.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 3 different kinds of rest that we're talking about. We've been talking about throughout this whole series. There's physical rest, emotional rest, and spiritual rest. Physical rest, sleeping, it's resting, it's laying on the couch, it's watching your favorite movie with your family.
That's the easy stuff.
It's the easy stuff.
I like that part.
I like it. It's fun. Emotional rest is disconnecting from stress. So that could be hanging out with people that fill you up, being with your family, doing things that you enjoy. That is emotional rest. And then spiritual rest is reconnecting with God. It's setting aside time, I'm going to read my Bible, and I'm going to journal, or I'm going to pray, or I'm going to spend time in worship, and I'm going to put worship music on. Whatever that looks like for you, that's reconnecting with God.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that, because I really think we think Sabbath, when we hear Sabbath, we're like, oh, I'm not supposed to work, period. And that's it. Like that's what we define Sabbath is.
Yeah.
Don't work, don't do anything. But it's not just about stop working. So that's an element of it, but it's pausing from work so we can refocus on God.
Yes.
And so if all I do is not work, there's nothing spiritual about that, right? Then it really is just rest. And that's why we say, like, the day off and a vacation is nice, but if you're not focusing on God, it's not going to rejuvenate the soul. It might catch you up on some sleep. But this definitely, we have to directly connect back with God. And so a couple things would be like, maybe worship music has to be going on that day. Like, get Alexa out, or when you're driving, you're like, I'm going to listen to worship music. You're going to spend a little bit more time in reflecting God's word and praying. So when you take that walk, take a walk and pray.
Yeah.
If you're like an easy morning with breakfast and coffee and not the hustle and bustle, have worship music going on that morning. So there's ways you can really make sure that in that moment and in that day, there's a focus back to God.
Yeah, so Sabbath, it is a we day with God. It is not a me day. It's not just, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to sit on the couch all day and not move. It is a we day. We're going to spend time intentionally in connecting with God. And then we get to spend time with our family, enjoying the nature and reconnecting with God. So it's both. We get to do all 3 of those aspects, but really the day is to reconnect and find spiritual rest with God. And so hone in on that.
Yeah, and when you hear that, I know everyone's thinking, I can't do that. This is so difficult. I want to promise you this, like God designed it for us, and it is a gift. So we can either look at this Sabbath thing and feel guilty and go, man, this is a lot of guilt because I'm not doing it. Or we can say, this is actually a gift that God is giving us so we can recharge the batteries, recharge our lives. And so instead of processing even this whole week's message as guilt, I want you to see it as a gift. And I think when you see it as a gift, then we pursue it. If we see it as a guilt, we just kick ourselves and say, I can never do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So see it as a gift, not as guilt.
Yeah, so this week we want you guys to sit down, maybe with your spouse, your family, or whatever, and sit down and see, how can I rearrange my week to be able to have a Sabbath? How can I rearrange my month to be able to have this time reconnecting with God, reconnecting with my family? And so, we want to challenge you guys, even though it might be really hard, even though it might bring you a little stress, like, I don't know how I'm going to have time for this. Try to sit down and try to rearrange things. Say no to commitments. Find time to Sabbath this week.
Yeah, and so it sounds like 2 conversations need to happen. 1, conversations at home. How can we do this? But then I would encourage you conversations right now. So group leaders, help pull this out of everyone, because I know this is challenging, and let them have a conversation of what does it really look like to start working toward practicing and observing this Sabbath, because I promise you, dead batteries are no good, right? So dead batteries are worthless, so we need to recharge, and the whole purpose of Sabbath is recharging our lives, our spiritual lives, our physical lives. And so group leaders, have a great conversation, and everybody in the group today, open, honest conversations. Like, just lay it out on the table. talk about how this is challenging, but how it could be rewarding.
Yeah, we know you guys got this. Have an amazing week. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
See you
Bye.
next time.